Doors locked. Doors locked. Road's clear. Clear to the pulley. Grab A's. Doors locked. Road's clear. Clear to the pulley. Grab A's.
Here he goes! There he goes!
Center up. It's windy up here. Gonna do a gentle turn. Get the wind behind me. Well, that was definitely wind that turned reversible. But the first part's been successful. We'll see about the second part. Trying to determine, do I just want to climb and look for outs inland? Because there's not a whole lot of outs that my skill sets can handle on the edge of this small beach. So maybe we'll climb up and go fly over the Manistee property. Again, gentle turns into a heavier wind. There's the Manistee house and the creek coming in. Not much penetration up here. Nice and slow. I think I know how I want to come in. We'll just see if that's going to be possible when I come in. Getting off the ground's only half the story. You also have to land it on a little strip of beach. And I don't want to land where the crosswind is going to have the opportunity to push me into the creek where it comes in. Let's go check out the Manistee house. Give everybody a bird's eye view of that. Aside from being a bit windy, it's very, very smooth. Very, very smooth. How's it going to be when I come into land? That's really what I'm looking for, is how am I going to do that? I'm going to go hands up and come in that way, and hopefully not run in the water. Just not a lot of room. The only out is our beach. I don't know how we got lucky having enough beach for me to even attempt that. The last 2 nights, the winds have just been, they've been coming inshore like they are tonight, but they've been too straight in. I would have had to run too much at the water, and I didn't have the skill set to put it fully crosswind in the wind that we had. And I don't know how high I'd have to get to find the outs over that direction. And I have 0 internet here, so I was completely unable to check like winds aloft and the kinds of things that you'd want to. Very, very foresty, as you can see this way. And there's some good buildup inland. Last night, right at sunset, it probably died enough that I could have managed a flight. But I wasn't prepared, and it wouldn't have been but 15 minutes. Also have to keep my eyes out for pleasure cruisers and general aviation that's playing around in the same area. But there's Manistee. You can kind of make out what I think is our property line. All of the very similar trees that are pathed out. My family, the folks who actually control and own the cottage, there's 256 acres, I believe, somewhere thereabouts. And most of it's that wooded stuff. I don't know how far back the property line goes in this direction towards the with beachfront. I think the beachfront the other direction goes all the way down to where the first build of house is. And I only think that because I can't imagine that no one would have built if it was available in the last 40 years. So I feel like I've gained enough height that maybe I can go a little bit inland. Just check this stuff out a little bit. But we're gonna see what the weather kind of feels like up here. It feels a little bit sketchy to be flying without doing anything but a check. And right there at the end when I was launching, the wind had gone from a very consistent nothing forward to strong enough to build a little bit of a wall, and I probably could have done a reverse launch. I had to check that wing pretty hard when I brought it up. But yeah, Manistee, Michigan. They've got a busy airport for guests. I mean, I don't know what COVID has done to the I don't know what COVID has done to the visitors that normally come up here, but the airport's way over past through town. Weather actually feels pretty good. With the wind that I have, though, I don't know if down on the ground, I don't necessarily want to go low because I don't know where all these folks get their power. This is the first time I've ever been in the air up in Manistee. So I think I'm just going to keep it at a relatively safe height and save all my sketchiness for the little strippy landing that I get to make. And I know for experience, guys, it probably wouldn't feel like a tough chore to land there. But first beach landing, there's water involved. I do have my safety floats on, my paramotor, just in case I get horribly screwed up. But if I get horribly screwed up and dragged, I'm going to get dragged away from the water. So this is going to be the dirt road that we follow to lead back. There's a house over here that I definitely wanted to fly by, see if they were interested in maybe waving at me or show me some sort of friendliness, because they have this gorgeous field next to their house. The only power lines are right along the front of the road up here, and there's some dirt bikes, which means they're a little outdoorsy. I've seen, man, I would love to get permission to launch up here when I'm visiting, which isn't very often, but I mean, this is the second time I brought my paramotor. The first time was last year, and I was brand spanking new. Nursing the only real injury I had after training, which was a pretty good dig on my left hand from a bad launch. We won't call it a face plant. We'll call it a knee slide that someone real experienced could do on purpose, and me on a launch was really ugly and it resulted in problems. But I didn't feel comfortable flying out of the airport. They were very, very nice to me. They were very accommodating about the request to do so. They gave me a key card. The airport manager showed me around. But I was so new to doing this by myself that I didn't want their experience to be, oh, here's what these guys do. They have no idea what they're doing, and not represent the sport well. So I chose not to fly from the airport, and our beach that year was itsy bitsy teeny weeny, and I don't think it would have been flyable for anyone. I mean, there were a place for a couple of beach chairs, and that was just about it. But it was a goal of mine to come up here and fly and just kind of get a bird's eye view of Manistee and this place that I love so much. Coming down a little bit, this is the field that I'm talking about. That would just be just such a nice place to fly out of. Don't want to fly over these homes. I was looking forward to just flying along the beach, but other than ours, there was no place to safely land if something were to go wrong with the engine. And when you fly one of these, sooner or later, something goes wrong with the engine. And if that happens, you need to have a place that you can land, which is why I went up high. And now I'm coming down a little lower, but I've got lots of options. If something were to go wrong right now, I could land way out here and hope that someone was nice enough to offer me a truck ride back to the cottage. Heck, this almost looks like a perfect field here. I didn't know this one was so open. I think you could get some rotor, but it's pretty wide. Certainly would be manageable. For landing, it would be no big deal. I almost wish I had told my wife, hey, for the landing, just meet me by the dirt road. I'm going to put her down right there. Because that was my last option, is I was going to come out here and see if there was some way, if the wind was coming out of the north or south, if there was some way for me to line up and kind of launch from the road and maybe only use a little bit of a field on either side. But there are power lines now that I'm up here, and there are some fences, it would appear, to probably keep trespassers off and other hunters, that kind of thing. Decided to go hands up. It got a little bit bumpy as I came down. Certainly nothing that is concerning, and I'm penetrating just fine, and I haven't trimmed out. So if I'm penetrating and I'm not trimmed out, the winds can't be too terrible. Yeah, I would love a setup like this back home. Just a place to hunt, a big house, a fully powered and warm pole barn, storage areas, all that good stuff. I'm being very cautious because I have a tendency to hit this kill switch on this throttle. This throttle's a short-lived throttle for me. It's had multiple problems, and it fits in certain ways, but the actuator on it, the handle on it, is far too long. Trimming it down, I don't know if I'd even like the angle then of the V. It just might be a little too severe. And then the kill switch is just sitting right on top, wide in the open, and it only needs a heartbeat. It's not like my Polini, you pushed it, and you could hold it for a second, let go, and your motor would kind of cough and restart. So even if you were able to get down to the depression that the kill switch was sitting in, you wouldn't have it. You would. I never, not in training, not at any time, did I accidentally turn off my motor. I have accidentally caused myself to have engine outs in the air. I've turned off my motor multiple times while clipping in. I did that tonight. And there's just no reason for that kind of design, at least in my mind. I mean, you want your kill switch to be accessible, but accessible is not the same as overly accessible. I mean, you fly up and you want your reserve to be accessible, but you don't want your reserve accidentally deploying, right? So, I mean, it's all a matter of taste, I guess. But I'm not a big fan of this particular throttle. Look at this little private pond up here. They've got themselves their own little campground. It's pretty cool. This actually looks like some sort of business. This doesn't look like a home. Maybe it is something that's in development. They're going to build something here. Oh, looks a little herd of deer. I need to do some turning and climbing. Gentle turns, gentle turns. Find out, oh, more deer, 2 more. Big buck down there. Yeah, there's definitely a decent wind up here. And it was definitely smoother, a little higher. So a little higher we will go. Butterfly. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes when I have to keep my hands up for a very long time, my shoulders can get very sore. Look at this little lake up here. The inland one. It's a pretty good size. Well, that's certainly a beautiful view. This house down here straight ahead with the white barn, the real bright white barn right before the tree line. Catherine and I both really like that little house. It has a flair to it. It's just a very, very, very cute residence in a perfect location. Safe from erosion. You've got land, you've got openness, and you've got a lot of privacy around you. It's kind of my perfect when it's just me and Catherine house. It's not incredibly big. The garage looks big. It's actually bigger than I thought it looked from the road. It's deeper. It goes back towards its lot. I think it must be a 1-floor place. Still got plenty of fuel. I might cruise down the beach this way a little bit. There's the cottage. You can see my foot's pointing at it. My white trailer is there, and the cottage is up on the rise. I think that our property comes up to about where these trees stop right here. The family's property. I don't mean to say that it's ours. It's family. And then it goes on the beach from kind of where we're at here at the cottage. I'm right over the top of the cottage, all the way down to where I would suspect right up until where you see that first build. And I am going to do a little bit of a beach flight. I'm just going to do it at height. I have no idea if I installed these floats on my paramotor correctly. I basically velcroed them to my harness, and then there were some top straps that I was able to kind of tie into the back of my frame a little bit, that if I were in the water and they pop, it should keep it near the top of the frame. And then there were some bottom straps that I kind of just secured to some of the webbing just to keep it from being loose straps. And hell, I don't know. I might have installed it so wrong that it doesn't do me any good. At some point, when I'm around other pilots that use them, the power floats, I may, I don't know if they're the brand power floats. I think they are. The ones Aviator sells. I may ask them their thoughts on that. Well, look at this. Now here, they've got a lot more dunes still. And it looks like it would be landable if you went down low, but it also looks like it's fairly rolly. Yep, I'm coming down through that bouncy stuff. I think I'm gonna turn it around and head back towards the wind anyway. See if I can do this without killing my engine myself. I did not bring my GPS watch for heights. I did not set up a windsock. I did none of those things that I normally do to ensure safety. I would be curious. I think I'm going to keep a little bit of idle on. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Yeah, my little stretch of beach to land on doesn't look nearly as big when you're up in the air. It looks like a very, very small target. This actually looks like a bigger target right there. So down the beach a little bit, there's just this one little section that would be unlandable. So maybe we'll come down and check our fuel and fly a little lower down there. My son might have recorded my launch. You guys can all laugh at the fact that I did a forward and the winds were so reversible that it was almost a really bad idea. So lesson learned there. I probably should have come out earlier in the day and just, if I was going to bring my wing down to the beach, I had been debating. I said, I'm not going to go down and kite it and dick around in all that sand and then have to worry about cleaning everything up and having my equipment all sandy and if the winds weren't going to be right to fly. But I probably should have been down here and just wearing my helmet and practicing kiting. It's just so damn hot. And I'm old. But I could definitely use some practice on reverses. I haven't done a reverse since training. My first 2 out of 3 flights were done with reverses. The couple of nights that I've flown when the winds were strong enough to reverse, you know, easily, where you pop the wing up and it just kind of hangs up there. I had no problem, you know, doing the mechanics of it, but every time I turned, because I now have all this crap on my head to allow me to do these videos and stuff, I was catching lines, and that gets me frustrated, and then I just turn around and do the forward. Going to be a pretty benign sunset. I'm trying to look at the tops of the trees, see if it still is gusting like it was, because that's going to be a little rougher cross. Of course, I took off a little cross, but the winds were so strong I knew I was going to have plenty of room. It almost looks like if I went hands up right here, I'd land right where I need to. I don't know. I'm going idle, which is always dangerous. This is almost a good practice. Almost. A little long. I'd be a little long. Gonna have to be careful of those trees. Come in. Yeah, they're definitely having erosion issues on some of these homes. I don't know if I would buy one of these for any amount of money at this point. It's going to cost you the price of the house just to save your house. Gonna stay high enough that I shouldn't get any rotor off the trees with the way the wind's coming, so I'm not worried about that. Gonna stay high enough that I can at least initiate a turn if my engine dies. Feel like the wind really died off from even when I launched. It's definitely gotten cooler. Yep. This is what I've been wanting to do. I'm glad that I found enough confidence to know that while I may not have a great landing and it may be problematic, yep, this is the flight I wanted. This is the one. Yep, some people here. I'm gonna have to swing out. Yeah, worst case scenario, I'd hurt my legs. So there's my risk reward scenario, is I've got places to land, but I've got obstacles and funkiness. think I want to go up a little bit and see if I can get a sight on the fuel. We're all right now. Well, I think we'll go up here and turn it around. Oh, what this does for me mentally, I can't even tell you. It's like therapy. It's like therapy. This is starting to look... Are those people? I can't fly over all those people. That must be a little public area. Kind of got to fly farther out over the water so that I don't break any rules. That would definitely count as congested. People probably shouldn't fly over 1, let alone 30. I think here I'll just cut her in. Oh, campers right on the beach. That's cool. Probably time to take her back home. Actually, landing up here would not be, right there would not be incredibly difficult. It's rolly, and if it's soft, you might come to a very fast stop, but, you know, face plant in the sand, it could be worse. Yeah, temperature's falling. I'm glad I actually put on this cover up when it was still hot. Coolest thing about these, you get to see stuff that you would never get to see. And generally, at least, the first time people see you, they're happy about it. I imagine if every day of your vacation you were trying to enjoy the beach and someone came buzzing by, it would get less and less enjoyable. I think now we're at the gas situation where if I want to continue flying, I need to kind of just stay by the LZ. Feels like the wind could be changing and starting to come over the trees a little bit. I'm definitely still flying into some, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of tree movement, so a crosswind landing should not be that difficult. This is me convincing myself that I'm going to nail this beach landing and not set my motor and prop down where I don't want it to be. Oh. Here's a cool place tucked back up in the hill. Little A-frame. I wonder how much concern they might have. Who knows? 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 Cool little houses. Oh, I did.